Jeremy McGrath has won Moto #1 here at Delmont, and quite a moment as he also wraps up the 1995 AMA 250 Outdoor National title.
The whole shot, he picks up right where he left off.
1996 saw Showtime come flying out of the gate, winning the first 6 motos and taking a 47-point lead in the championship chase. Then Supermax showed he was human after all. An injury to his foot during practice at Millville had him making un-McGrath-like mistakes and forced the first DNF of his career at Washougal. For the first time in this superstar's career, he could only watch his points lead disappear. This opened the door for the ever-opportunistic Jeff Emig, who had been staying within striking distance of the defending champion. Emig took full advantage of McGrath's slip-up. Jeffro picked up his pace and put himself in the driver's seat for the championship. 2 rounds, 2 men, 1 goal, 1 climactic finish. The run for the 1996 250 National Championship coming up next. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs from Binghamton, New York for our championship showdown. It's the first time in nearly 2 seasons that Jeremy McGrath has not led the points chase. Jeff Emig by 8 going into today's action. Motocross has always been a sport with family involvement. The defending champion still draws from that support.
It's been a different week for us. I mean, Jeremy's a winner. That's, fortunately for us, we've had these many years to get used to that. This week, we spent more time together than we usually do. I went to his practices, just kind of hung out. But basically, we've decided to take it 1 moto at a time. You know, get through practice, see how it goes. If it goes well, let's get through the first moto. I think we all have a positive attitude. Honda's doing everything they can to help him as much as possible. It's been a tough week. I mean, he's hurting. His foot's not, it's by no means healed. His hip is hurting. His head physically is okay. Mentally, it's a bit of a problem. I mean, when you've won as many times as he's won and not had to deal with the injuries, it's a different perspective altogether.
So lots of questions still to be answered about Jeremy McGrath's physical condition, David.
Anytime you have an injury, it's serious or just something that's nagging you a little bit, it still changes your routine during the week. So I know that before Washougal, Jeremy was unable to ride. Here it's been a different story. He's able to ride a little bit during the week. It should make a difference in how he feels out there on the racetrack.
Larry Ward getting ready for Moto #1 at the starting line. You know, Jeremy McGrath opened the season with 6 straight Moto wins. He had 4 of 6 hole shots. And after a 5-3 third overall at Mount Morris, he came back with 2 sweeps. At that point, 11 Moto wins in 12 motos. It looked like it was all over at that time, David.
Well, that really goes to show how tough Emig has been this season, not letting Jeremy get away. Only real bad moto for Emig came at Unadilla when he crashed leading the moto and bent his bike.
No worse than a 3rd place throughout the last 11 events for Emig, and the gate drops. We're underway. Moto #1. Let's see who gets the whole shot. It is Jeremy McGrath on the inside, #1. Emig, Albertine, Ward, Larocco, all in the fight here as the race gets underway.
Emig right there. Jeremy had to close him off coming out of the corner. Jeremy did a good job of staying in that berm in the first corner. He came in there pretty hot. Emig right underneath him. If he'd have drifted just a little bit, Emig would have had it.
If this was earlier in the season, David Bailey, you'd think, well, Jeremy McGrath has got the whole shot now. There's no way he'll crack under the pressure. He's got the speed to just take away and go for the victory. Jeff Emig behind him, though, now has that confidence that he has seen Jeremy McGrath not at his best.
Well, the odds are against Jeremy right now. First of all, he's injured. He's lost some of that confidence he had early in the season. Emig, in turn, has gained a lot of that, beating Jeremy and taking over the points lead.
Jeremy's mechanic, Skip Norfolk, has just become a father, and he's at home taking care of business while Cliff White steps in. Davey Coombs moving over to the veteran right now.
Okay, Cliff, we know you're only the makeshift mechanic, but so far so good.
So far so good. The boy's a new man this week. We worked with him all week, and his injuries have gone away pretty much, so I think he's going to do it. He feels really good. He's focused. He's hungry.
Were you at all surprised he went out there and got the whole shot like that?
Not really. I think he's just in for it. He's up to the challenge.
Well, Skip Norfolk is a terrific mechanic, no question about that. He's had a very successful tenure with Jeremy McGrath throughout his pro career, but it's no step down to get Cliff White, let me tell you.
Well, Art, of course, I'm prejudiced. Cliff being my mechanic all those years, I believe he's the best mechanic ever. And for Honda to go to their backup mechanic and have somebody of that caliber, boy, they've got a lot of depth.
Yeah, Cliff not only got championships with David Bailey, but also Jean-Michel Bale.
Right, Jean-Michel Bale, George Holland. He worked with Steve Wise before he worked with me, Jim Gibson. In fact, before I had Cliff as a mechanic, there was some concern maybe that he was a little too clean. I wouldn't have a chance to ride the bike. The guy's just so organized. It's just unbelievable. The bike is perfect. The truck is perfect. Everything that he does is right. See him get in a massage on those parts, put his own finishing touches on there. What a great position for him to fill in at Honda.
Suzuki's Greg Albertine and Larry Ward fighting it out for third. Jeremy McGrath right where he wants to be. We'll be back. Welcome back to 250 action, Moto number 1. Out in front, Jeremy McGrath. Jeff Emig in the second spot as we look at a freight train battle for third, fourth, and fifth. Greg Albertine, number 16, right in front of his teammate Mike Larocco, and then Honda of Troy's Larry Ward.
These three guys, actually four, Ryan Hughes back there behind these three guys. All stayed about the same past couple of laps, but Albertine right now is starting to feel the pressure from his teammate Larocco. Anytime you catch your teammate like this, it feels a little different. You want to get in there and bump him out of the way and get aggressive, but he's your teammate right there, unable to get over that triple. McGrath and Emig getting over that clean, so they'll lose a little time there.
Mike Larocco to the inside of his teammate. Albie shuts the door for the time being anyway, but here goes Larocco up the hill. Mike Larocco moving into third. Albie tries to come back, but Michael secures that position.
Just held it wide open all the way up the hill around the sweeper. Good line, just cut off a little bit of the racetrack there, made a shorter distance. Give a face full of rocks to his teammates. That's the only way you can do it here. You got to make the pass. Look at all that dirt flying. It hurts when it hits you.
Number 8, a former 500 and 250 national winner. Got his first Suzuki overall victory at Washougal in the last race. Larry Ward and Ryan Hughes. This could turn out to be a great battle.
Ryan Hughes, fighter, short and stocky, in shape. Gobbling up that roost from Larry Ward, tall and lanky. Their styles are completely different. Locked together right now. Usually when Hughes catches you, he's going to bother you for the rest of the race. So Ward's going to have to put up with it for a while, or else get around the guys ahead of him and hopefully put a little distance in there.
Ward getting Honda of Troy's very first podium on the track just a few miles from the shop, Troy, Ohio. Well, he had an experience here last year where he cased it very hard in Moto 1. Then got up and ran a decent Moto 2. But now, Ryan Hughes closing in.
Hughes keeping the pressure on, looking for an opening. This is a little bit more of a one-line section, portion of the racetrack right through here. And just stay as close as he can. You see him aiming for a little different berm everywhere. In case Ward makes a mistake, he'll be able to make that pass. A lot of times you have to take a line you don't want to take just because you got to dodge all those rocks flying. You have to make a lot of decisions out there on the racetrack. Split-second decisions, and Emig and McGrath are the best at that.
Whoa, did you see all that dirt going right up under his helmet?
Yeah, sometimes it's better to just look straight ahead because that helmet's going to block all that grease from coming in, but that's a natural tendency to kind of duck, and as soon as you duck, you drop your face a little bit, and the dirt goes right in, hits you right in the face.
Ryan Hughes, what a gutsy leap right there in front of Larry Ward.
Decided to change lines, and he got into one of those berms, almost didn't make it in time. The back end caught the outside edge of it, spit the back end out. It actually worked out perfect. It put him right into the line he wanted to be in, and had a nice pass on Ward.
Those injuries that have cut into his season have certainly been frustrating for Ryan Hughes. And in Washougal, he made the highlight reel with a hard crash in Moto 2, but a second in Millville, his best performance on the season with a 2-2. Here are the 250 past winners from Binghamton. You'll notice a gap between 1985 and 1993. In years past, there wasn't always a 250 class champion here. The 500s and 125 staged their event during that time. These were the 500 winners. David Bailey listed up there. Our Suzuki flashback takes us back to 1989.
The start of Moto 1. Jeff Stanton, number 7 on the Honda, number 5 and number 4 the Kawasaki teammates, Jeff Ward and Ron Lachine. Battle quickly shaped up between Lachine and Stanton, going back and forth here at the top of the uphill. Stanton with an inside line. Lachine with an aggressive move to the inside would retake the lead. But Stanton was once again into the lead and in control of Moto number 1. For the second moto, number 4, Ron Lachine got the whole shot, followed again by number 7, Jeff Stanton. Number 5, Jeff Ward, the series points leader, lost a few points on the day to Stanton, while Ron Lachine suffered a flat tire in the second moto. Jeff Stanton went on to take the overall, while Jean-Michel Bale celebrated an earlier 250 world title.
Jean-Michel Bale, certainly one of the most technically beautiful riders that we've seen in Supercross and Motocross. And here's one of the best that ever lived on the track right now, leading our first moto, Jeremy McGrath, Jeff Emig, Mike LaRocco, the top 3. Prior to the race, Davey Coombs checked things race leader, and this is what Jeremy tell us.
What about your head? How do you feel there? You had 4 years of good luck, and in the last 2 weeks, you had all the bad luck you could ever want. Is the head okay, confidence-wise?
Well, it's hard to, I mean, in that type of situation, it's really hard to keep your confidence because of the circumstances that happen, you know? I mean, it seems like it's raining pain on Jeremy McGrath right now, and, you know, it's just one of those things I have to go through. Now I can see how riders that get hurt stay hurt because they try and ride over their head and not to their ability when they're hurt. And it seems to cause more problems, and that was obvious last week.
Your strategy this weekend in Binghamton, is it just to get to Steel City still in the points chase, or are you going for the win today?
No, I think my ankles and foot is feeling pretty good today, and I think I'm going to try and win today. You know, it's crunch time, and, you know, if Jeff has a little pressure on him, maybe he's going to crack a little, but maybe not. He's not been in this situation since '92, so, and even then he wasn't in the points lead. He was just chasing. So, you know, I don't feel any pressure. I just want to get out there and ride. Last week was a disaster, and I feel 100% better this week.
And you can tell it on the track right now, David Bailey, as Jeremy McGrath out in front of moto number 1, came into this race 8 points down in the championship race. We'll be back with more exciting 250 action in a moment. Jeremy McGrath back on track here in Binghamton, New York. He is the leader of moto number 1. Jeff Emig in second place. Looking pretty sharp, David.
It's funny. It's actually, I mean, he's making a lot of mistakes. Look at the difference between he and Emig getting through that corner. Jeremy went wide and kind of hit a lot of bumps that you normally wouldn't see him hit, but he's doing something right somewhere else because he's still maintaining a pretty good lead over a charging Emig.
Emig not panicking, that's for sure. Let's go down to Davey Coombs.
Okay, J-Bone, are you nervous about McGrath yet?
No, not yet. You know, he's still hanging in there. It's a long race, long series, and still early. Come ask me a little bit later, maybe I will be.
Well, Jeff Emig has gone from a streak breaker in Supercross to a real force here in Motocross, David.
He's been improving steadily this season. He did it last year, finished in second. Vowed he was going to come out and win the title this year, and he's on track to do it.
Davey Coombs talked with him before this race got underway about his mindset, and he seemed pretty cool with the pressure flying around him.
Jeff, you're in an unfamiliar situation. The first time you led the 250 points. How do you feel?
Well, I feel pretty good, you know, about taking the points lead, especially this close to the end of the series. But I mean, I'm real happy about it because could have just you know, top off what I think has already been a pretty good season.
Was your preparation any different coming into Binghamton?
Actually, no. You know, I just kind of did the same things I always did. You know, went out riding, rode hard. You know, took it to the edge, and you know, I just trained real hard. I think the only difference was that I really focused, and I've been you know, I've been trying to think about exactly what I need to do here this weekend. And the only real answer that I come up with is that I just need to win.
Well, that's the right attitude. That's the only way he's going to win this title, because you can see right there, Jeremy with his back against the wall is so far pretty dangerous.
Missing in action for a while was Damon Bradshaw. You'll see him in the picture as a lapper, though. Let's go to Davey.
Steve, we know that Damon's riding with the leaders, but he's a lap down. What happened?
I'm really not sure. I'd say he must have slid out or fell down or something, because he didn't want to pull in when he went by, so everything must be all right now. It's just unfortunate he's a lap down, but seems to be going pretty fast right now. I just wish he could have got a start.
All right, we'll check back and see if you have anything on that.
All right.
Jeremy McGrath, our current leader. Here's our second position rider, Jeff Emig. If they finish 1-2 in this order, that would mean that Jeremy would cut 3 more points off of Emig's lead. Going into Moto 2, Emig would have a 5-point lead.
Emig's been fast through this portion of the racetrack all day, carrying a lot of speed through there. Still keeping about the same distance behind Jeremy. If Jeremy makes a little mistake, you hear him go by right there. Emig will be right there to take advantage. I think they're both just running as hard as they can go, and neither one of them is able to pull away.
A tribute to both riders. And Mike LaRocco zips by us in 3rd place, passing his teammate Greg Albertine earlier in the race to secure 3rd. Riding a lonely 3rd, though, David.
Well, you know, it's kind of a weird place to be for LaRocco because he's not in the points hunt, at least for the title. And if he gets in there in between Emig or McGrath, he knows it's going to affect the point standings and how the title turns out for those guys. You really don't want to get in the middle of it. You either want to be behind them, kind of where you are, but I'm sure you'd much rather be way out front and let them sort it out behind them.
Boy, our camera's really showing the dirt and rocks that are flying in the roost. Oh, here's Damon Bradshaw. He's pulled into the mechanics area, talking with Steve Butler, trying to explain possibly what happened to him on the backside.
He looks healthy. I think what's happening here is he realizes after losing that lap, he's lost so many positions. For him to just get back in the top 20, it's a wasted effort this moto. Just save it for the next moto.
Jeremy McGrath now pulling a 4-second lead on Jeff Emig.
Still within Emig's sights, though. You can see Emig just coming out of the corner there. It fluctuates in different portions of the track. Jeremy opened it up to about 4, then certain times, depending on the lapped riders, Emig gets pretty close. You can hear the crowd getting into it.
If you notice that graphic of 6 wins this year for Jeremy McGrath, that's in 11 races. A phenomenal record this year.
Sure doesn't look injured right now. Looks aggressive as ever.
Damon Bradshaw headed toward the pits now. Let's check in again with Davey.
He ran off to the track over the back.
Okay, Steve, what happened?
Well, I guess it was all in the first lap. There was a bunch of guys going on a small uphill over the back, and he ended up sliding off of the track. He said he was going through the woods and ran into some trees and bushes, and he just got stuck up down the bottom there.
Jeff, that is just making laps to learn the track?
Yeah, he just figured there's a good chance to see how fast he could go, and he seemed right in there and save himself at the second moto.
So Damon Bradshaw hangs it up in front of this record-breaking crowd at Binghamton, New York. Here's our field summary. McGrath, Emig, LaRocco, Albertine, and Ward, and we'll be back with more. Welcome back to the 250 action. This is the second to last event on the season with the 250 championship coming down to the line. Jeremy McGrath, our leader, but look at this. Jeff Emig, number 2 on the green bike. Kawasaki is catching up to our leader.
These two are really starting to open up a lead now over 3rd place. Emig applying the pressure to McGrath. Looked like Jeremy for most of the moto had a comfortable lead. Wasn't that worried, but you can hear the crowd now. Jeremy knows Emig is right there. This is getting good.
And a lapper trying to run the race with Emig and McGrath. Finally gets out of the way as Jeff Emig comes zooming up and by him.
Working their way down into some of the Supercross type sections.
Jeremy's got his game face on, that's for sure. As Emig now putting the pressure on for the lead. And it's time now for our Honda riding tip.
And in this week's riding tip, we're going to talk about what it takes to prepare for racing on the rocks. Not only does your riding style have to change, but so does your riding gear. And in the pits, your mechanic is busy getting the bike ready. McGrath's bike right here, sporting the plastic handlebar covers, protecting your hand and the clutch lever and the brake lever. Custom pipe guards made out of aluminum. These are hard to come by. Chest protectors worn on the outside of the jersey. Bar protectors. All these things are available at your dealers to keep you protected when you're out there on the racetrack. It's personal preference, just finding what works best for you. Kevin Windham electing to go with the under the jersey chest protector. And the mechanics trying to fight off flat tires with Dunlop's Moose insert.
Back to the action anyway. The tires are holding up for Jeremy McGrath, that's for sure. Here on the final lap of moto number 1, he is holding on to the lead. Jeff Emig, though, just won't give him an inch to spare as he's kept the pressure on this entire moto. Great credit to these racers.
And for Emig, what you want to do here is keep the pressure on. He's let Jeremy get out to a little bit of a lead here. You see the lap rider doing a good job of staying out of the way. But if you're Emig, you're hoping McGrath gets hung up. A couple of these corners behind some lap riders lets you get right in there and hopefully take advantage of a unfortunate situation for the leader. But Jeremy's not going to give this one away. It's going to have to be bad luck at this point.
Jeremy McGrath coming off his first DNF of his career that we can remember. And that put him behind the 8 ball as far as the points are concerned. So it's all uphill now for Jeremy McGrath, showing a lot of character and courage, coming toward the checkered flag with Emig on his tail.
This is exciting. Everyone getting into it. The flaggers, the crowd. Jeremy can feel him there. One more time through the mechanics area. If he can go mistake-free, it should be his. Emig doing the right thing, keeping the pressure on. Just think about all the energy he's using to do that. Well, he's forcing Jeremy to use energy too, so they're all even.
So the mechanics waved hello and goodbye to them as they head now toward the finish. Good tight cut by Jeremy McGrath, holding onto the control of that machine. Here's the checkers coming up. Jeremy McGrath did what he had to do in the first moto.
Yeah, and you can see a little fist pump. He knows that was critical.
Not too much fist pump, though, because he knows he's got another one to go as Mike LaRocco headed toward the finish line for 3rd here in our opening moto.
Albertine keeping that tight. Looked like LaRocco had it at pretty good distance for a while, but Albertine closed it back up, letting him know he's there.
So from the serene rolling hills of upstate New York, we'll be back with the winners' interviews in just a moment. Results from Moto 1. Jeremy McGrath, our winner, with Emig right there. Larry Ward in the top 5 as we take a look at the top 10. Ryan Hughes in 6th. Button in 8th, and Swink rounding out that top 10. Davey checks in with McGrath.
What a gutsy ride. Where did that come from?
Well, you know, it's crunch time, Davey, and I mean, I've been off the pace for the past 2 weeks, and finally I'm confident again, getting some good starts. Me and Jeff went in the corner, you know, close together, and I got him finally. You know, he's been whole shot in every race, and you know, I'm happy to be running up front again.
Did the ankle bother you at all?
Well, you know how that race adrenaline is. I think the ankle it is a little sore, but I'm not using it as an excuse, and you know, once I got racing, I think it felt fine.
And finally, how'd you feel at the end of the moto?
I felt really good. You know, I was getting a little nervous. The lappers were kind of messing me up a little bit, but Jeff rode a great race. He was on my tail the whole way, pushing me, and you know, hopefully I can do that again next moto.
That was an excellent ride.
Thanks.
Ooh, that sets the scene for a great Moto number 2 as Jeff Emig, you see right there, nothing wrong with his ride, except it just happened to be in 2nd place. Let's check in once again with Davey.
Bro, I know you're not happy. Did that surprise you, Jeremy riding like that?
Well, it's real bad when you get a bad start. I mean, I was 2nd behind him, and I just got roosted the whole time, and you know, only had about 3 tear-offs on it. It just didn't work the way that I planned, that's for sure. But you know, I felt real strong. I know I'm stronger than him at the end of the motos. And, you know, in the 2nd moto, I'm just ready to just, you know, burn away from him. So I'm gonna, you know, give it 110% that next moto.
Did the lap riders give you a lot of problems on the last couple laps?
Yeah, especially the Hondas. It seemed, I mean, every time I looked up, there was a Honda that was dropping into the ruts. It's real important right now for the AMA to get those flags out, and they're just not doing it.
Well, the spotlight doesn't have to spread itself too thin with this kind of race on the way. We'll be back with Moto 2 in a moment. To get it. Well, we heard Jeff Emig talking about getting roosted with all the dirt and everything. Well, that's what his bike looks like after Moto number 1 as we're getting set for Moto number 2 now. Jeremy McGrath looking very relaxed with Cliff White, his interim mechanic. Art Ekman and David Bailey, despite the fact that Jeremy McGrath has won the first moto, his back is still against the wall. Jeff Emig showing me some real championship maturity there, hanging in, David.
I was impressed. He stayed right there with Jeremy. They both had a fast pace. Jeremy had to get the win, but Emig pushed him the whole way, and he's done that all season long. Some people could say that he's a little lucky to be where he's at right now with Jeremy having the mishap, but he positioned himself close enough to take advantage, and right now he's got the pressure on Jeremy.
Jeff Emig still with a 5-point lead in the points chase. How important, David, is it psychologically to go into that last event of the year with a points lead?
Well, you want to be ahead, and Jeremy could cut it to 2 points in the next moto with the win, but it's like the last couple holes of a golf championship. Do you want a 5-stroke lead or a 2-stroke lead? I'll go with the 5.
LaRocco and Albertine look very fast. Could they make a difference in this one?
Absolutely. They were just a little bit behind them, and they never got the out to the good start. But they had the pace, and they could affect the points, definitely, especially LaRocco, who's coming off a win.
Okay, let's go down to the starting line for Moto 2.
And there it is, Jeremy's pre-race ritual. He goes through claps his hands, shakes his head, closes his eyes, think about the task at hand. He knows Emig was right there gaining on him. Look at the focus in Emig's eye. He's got to win this moto to try to preserve that 5-point lead. If Jeremy wins this moto, it'll be shrunken to only 2.
Larry Ward hoping he's a part of it, as does Ryan Hughes, number 5.
Ryan Hughes can definitely be a part of it. He could help his teammate, too. If Emig can get the win here, and Hughes would be second, that pushed Jeremy even further back.
Okay, we're set to go, and it's off for Moto 2. Who will get the whole shot this time around? Jeremy in great position on the inside. Let's try to figure out where Emig is. Yes, he's on the right-hand side. He just gets around that pileup. Oh, that was lucky for Emig, but Hughes is wrapped up in the pileup. You see Chester right in front of us here hit the hay bales in a separate incident. There's Hughes, number 5, just getting underway.
Now, what a break for McGrath right now, considering what's going on with the points chase. McGrath with another hole shot. Emig mid-pack right now. He can get his points lead back right here if unless Emig puts on the ride of his life.
Greg Albertine, though, is doing a pretty good job in second place, keeping the heat on Jeremy McGrath.
He's done that before. Jeremy had a lot of pressure from Albertine at several races. He had it at the very first race of the season.
LaRocco in 10th. There goes Emig. He must be in about 13th or 14th position.
Well, he'll be able to move up. I don't think he's got a chance of catching Jeremy. Not if he rides the way he did the first moto. And from the looks of it right now, with Albertine pressuring him like this, those two are going to pull away.
Boy, does this make an exciting situation for next week at Delmont, Pennsylvania. The final round, the championship is going to be decided there.
When motocross can change so quick after the first moto, probably a pretty comfortable atmosphere in the Kawasaki pits. Jeremy took 3 points out of his points lead, but still trailing by 5 now. Looks like he could pick up, probably lead by 5 before the end of the moto. There goes Emig right there.
LaRocco, Ward, and Emig in that order. 3 pretty good riders back in the pack. Jeremy McGrath now with about a 1-second lead on Greg Albertine.
Now, as pointed out before, he's led Albertine in other races. Albertine's in fact passed Jeremy, but it's usually in the later stages of the race where Jeremy feels that he has a little more confidence and poise to take it all the way to the checkered flag. So he's feeling the heat from Albertine right now, but that's probably a good thing. That's going to help him get a bigger lead so he didn't have to deal with Emig later on.
Albertine with a 4th place finish in the first moto, setting himself up for a good overall finish. Brian Swink. Well, this track is not kind to him today. He went down in the first moto as well, number 23, Honda of Troy. So Jeremy McGrath takes the lead here in the second moto. And Emig's got some coming back to do. Welcome back to our second moto action from Binghamton, New York. There's Jeff Emig trying to weed his way up through the pack. He's got Larry Ward, number 6, in front of him. Going to the inside, he decided to come back out, not get involved there. He's got a lapper next to Larry Ward that got hung up early in the race in that turn 1 accident.
Look at all the rocks and the dirt, dust banging off of his bike, off the fork leg. Look at this. He's just getting pelted by all this roost.
There's Cliff Palmer, number 27.
Emig was talking about getting a bad start in the first moto. He was second place. I mean, that tells you how good his starts are, and this is just what he didn't need this moto. Look at, he's trying to search for a line that isn't already being taken, and he gets by Palmer. And he's not going to have a lot of tear-offs left before the midway point of this race.
Emig with more hole shots than any other rider on the season. But today he could not add to that total. And it's going to maybe put him in a precarious position going into the final event of the year.
Something that's impressed me, though, lately with Jeff Emig, and it hasn't been that way through his whole career, but lately he's been strong at coming through the pack. So he's
he's riding on the edge, obviously trying to catch up, and he disassembled a hay bale right there.
That could have been the title right there. Both feet off. He's just trying to hug that inside line, trying to look for a good spot to make a pass, and got a little too close. Good save.
Jeremy very fast, and his technique is flawless right now, with Albertine doing all he can to keep up with him.
You can bet Jeremy each time that, and he has that option, if the track doubles back, he can see that Emig is still way back in the pack. I'm sure Cliff's giving that to him on the board. That'll help him relax just a little bit.
Cliff, Jeremy seems to be completely in control out front, but are you letting him know where Emig is?
No, I haven't really so far. I just want the guys behind him to know where the guy behind him is, and Albertine. That's who he's racing against. You know, Emig's back about 19 seconds, so right now he's not really in the picture. I've been timing him, and he's only closed a little bit, so I'm not going to worry about Emig. I just let him worry about his own race. Let's try and stay in front. He's the points.
Okay, so I was wrong. I told you Cliff was good. Now, I agree. I think it's very intelligent for Cliff to keep McGrath focused ahead, not worry about Emig. He's still way back there in the pack, and that's what kind of signals he used to give me. That's what helped me win so many championships, focusing on the right thing.
Jeremy McGrath leading here in Moto 2 with Greg Albertine. They've almost separated themselves from third place. And Mike Larocco off the track. And that's too bad. Larocco, third in the first moto, had a good chance for a decent overall. See if he can come back up through the pack now after going off. Jeremy McGrath, everything is coming up roses for this guy today.
Yeah, it'd be even rosier if he could lose Albertine. Albertine's dangerous. He's back there. He's fast. He's proven that he's had the speed to get up there and pass Jeremy before. He's won a moto. He's won an overall, and he's been in some great positions during the season. A couple bad decisions have kept him out of it, but right here he's definitely a threat to Jeremy.
We go back in the pack a little bit. Kyle Lewis, and there's 28, Damon Bradshaw, who had some bad luck in the opening moto and decided to DNF it after taking a little unscheduled ride through the woods.
Hasn't been the kindest place to Bradshaw. I remember last year in that wicked crash involving Brian Manley, Kudrowski, John Dowd, I think, all got in that pileup.
Manley going down just beyond a jump, and these guys pile driving into him.
Yeah, they were lucky all those guys to walk away from that. It was one of the scariest crashes I've ever seen, but they were all healthy. It goes to show what kind of shape these guys are in, the protective gear they wear to get them out of a sticky situation. Emig now starting to close in on this pack. He's faster than these guys. He's caught them all. I don't know if he'll be able to get around them very easy, though. Bradshaw's not having any luck.
It's Larry Ward in back of Kyle Lewis, and then Bradshaw and Emig. Bradshaw slipping out just a little bit, but Emig so far hasn't come up close to him.
You can see Bradshaw trying to use little different lines here and there. Lewis riding a great race.
Lewis has had some good starts this year.
When he gets a good start, he's capable of staying up there. He's raced with these guys enough. He's gotten some hole shots. He's not uncomfortable with being out front like that. He doesn't get intimidated like some of the other privateers.
Encouragement for Emig. You're fast. It's time to waste these guys and get on with the championship race.
Well, these are points. Each one of these guys is points that could take away from him potentially winning a title, so he's got to get them all.
Lewis, of course, has already signed a contract for Team Suzuki in Japan for the Japanese series there. Means a pretty good money deal for Kyle Lewis, who's just a yeoman veteran. He works very hard.
He does. He'll be a threat over there. He said he just couldn't turn it down. The money was too good. And looking at the caliber of riders that have gone over there before and won titles, I would put Lewis in that same pack. He should be able to come away with the title.
Kyle Lewis on the no-lean Yamaha, followed by Honda of Troy's Larry Ward.
You can see Larry Ward taking that inside line right there. There used to be a hay bale there until Emig hit it.
He must have really hit it hard, too, Dave, because it just disintegrated out of there.
Oh, he's going to think about that at the end of the race. Look at Ward to the inside.
Almost got cross-rutted, but held on to it and moves in front of Kyle Lewis.
That was an aggressive move. That'll raise your heart rate a little bit. He came charging down the inside, barely made it into that berm. He's got those long legs that lift it way up to keep it out of the way. Made a good clean pass, though.
So Larry Ward in third place. Looked pretty good at Washougal. He's had a strong finish on the season. Okay, we'll be back with more exciting action from the 250s with Jeremy McGrath out in front. Art Eckman, David Bailey, and Davey Coombs from Binghamton, New York. Second to the last round of motocross action as the championship comes right down to the final phase. Right now, it's Kyle Lewis, Damon Bradshaw in front of Jeff Emig, trying to get back into competitive status.
You can see Jeff, how desperate he is, trying to go inside, outside. The guys in front of him having to battle amongst themselves, taking all the lines. He reaches up for a tear off there. I don't know how many more he's got.
I bet he put more on this moto than he had last.
Well, he sounded like he was pretty confident in going out and getting the hole shot, though. He may not have. Trying to go around the outside. It works.
Oh, boy, what a clean sweep that was by Emig on Bradshaw. Bradshaw trying to fight back. But Emig puts the throttle down.
Almost looked as though Bradshaw made that a little easier once he saw Emig charging so hard to try to get in, not want to mess with him. That's just an observation. I'm not sure if that's what happened, but it kind of looked that way to me. Emig's, I'm sure, grateful right now. One less guy.
Did you ever have any riders be that grateful to you?
Yeah, I've had guys help me out in this situation. Jim Hawley did one year, Jeff Ward another year. Typically, if they move a rider into another class and try to help a guy win a title, you just don't want to get in there. And even if he's your teammate, you're messing with something somebody else has worked for all year long. Doesn't feel right.
Emig now with his sights on number 11, Kyle Lewis. Lewis has not been an easy rider to get around this year.
No, but looking at Emig, he just looks determined. Look, he's covered with mud. Run him down. It looks like that's the board his mechanic's going to give when he comes around. He's fast enough to move up, but still a long ways to go.
What about track condition now, too, David? It looks like it's riding up pretty good.
Yeah, it's getting worse and worse, but that's something that Emig won't even think about. He's just out there trying to get the job done. It's as impressive the ride he's putting in from the back of the pack now as it is for Jeremy being out front.
Almost lost it in those ruts. Went a little wide, braking late.
He's taking chances. He's got to. It's on the line right now.
Let's go back down to the mechanics area now and check back in with Davey Coombs. Davey, I believe, is with Jeff's mechanic.
Okay, you said you weren't nervous in the first moto. Are you nervous now?
Yeah, it is getting there. Got a bad start. He's coming up through the pack pretty good, but those guys got a lead on him. So basically, as of right now, it looks like third unless something happens to the front guys. But it'll be a tight race for the last one anyway.
That is, if Jeff Emig, running on the edge like he has been, doesn't crash. I mean, he's come pretty doggone close. Determination pulling him through.
A couple of times he should have been on the ground. He'll be thinking about that later on, however this title does work out. I mean, if you've ever ridden a jet ski out in the waters where there's sharks, you don't fall.
No,
even
thank you.
Even if you do, you don't let go of that thing. And right now, Jeff is just determined. There he makes the pass, finally.
Good power move by Emig in pretty much clear territory.
Now he's got a ways.
He's in fourth place, but he's got a long way to go because Jeremy McGrath has been pushed by Greg Albertine this entire moto and has had a pretty sizable lead now.
Jeff knows that he's going to lose the points lead. He won't quit. There's still time. I don't think he can catch Jeremy McGrath, but I think second, if he continues riding the way he's been, I mean, his real goal right now is to try to get into second, preserve that points lead.
Yes, he would have a 2-point lead going into that final round if he could get to second place. And the way Jeremy's running, boy, every point counts. That's for sure going into that final round. McGrath, Albertine, Ward, Emig is on our field summary for the first time since he got caught up in that first turn melee.
Pretty amazing. McGrath beat up, sore, had to pull off at the last race. Out there leading both motos, doing what he's got to do. I mean, this is the kind of title, this is what you want to see happen. You want these guys to have to charge all the way to the last race.
Oh, look at this battle. Damon Bradshaw making the move on Kyle Lewis.
Probably feeling like finally. Took him forever to get around. Emig caught up, got around, and made the pass. Finally, Bradshaw was able to get around. Bradshaw, I can't figure it out. I've said it a bunch of times. I really love watching him ride. I watched him come up from mini bike, the whole retirement. I'm so excited to hear that he was coming back, and I really don't think he's ridden up to his potential all the way around since his return, and that's got to be frustrating for him. And now it's kind of a question whether he'll even remain at Yamaha next year.
Jeff Emig makes the move on Larry Ward. So look out. Here comes Emig. Back to Bradshaw. I don't want to let it get too far. I think with the type of talent and depth of talent this year and in ensuing years, it's going to be increasingly difficult to sit out a season or more and come back to be competitive. We'll be back in a moment. Cross is being brought to you by the reigning Supercross 125 and 250 outdoor champions, Honda. Come ride with us. Time running out for the rest of the field. Here's number 16, Greg Albertine, in second place behind Jeremy McGrath, and there is Jeff Emig. Emig now is really going to try hard to get in front of Albertine. If he doesn't, we go into the last event tied in points, Jeremy McGrath and Jeff Emig. If he gets by number 16 with time running out, then he goes into that last event with a 2-point advantage.
Albertine, if you can look, it doesn't look like he has any goggles. He's thrown those off, and I can tell you it's just about impossible to try to see. Your eyes are watering. See
and all that roost in front of you?
Yeah, so Emig definitely has that an advantage. Lappers could play to his favor this time. He wasn't real happy with it the first moto, but things may be different here.
Emig picking up some good time downhill, braking late. Trying to get on that back wheel of Greg Albertine. Jeremy McGrath, meanwhile, on his way to sweeping this event. He swept the event last year, was the first rider to do so last season. This was his 6th overall win last season, and right now this battle is vitally important. The lapper getting a little bit in the way, finally waves him by.
And it slowed up Albertine just enough that Greg overjumps that plateau a little bit. And let Emig sneak up right behind him. This is the section where Emig's been fast all day. I don't think he's close enough right now, though.
Emig with the big leaping move to the outside. Goes to the berm, cuts to the inside. Oh, my goodness. Emig gets by for second. The crowd's going crazy.
Unbelievable. He cut all the way back to the inside. Albertine's just going, where did he come from? He went clear to the outside, set that up. What a wild line. Emig's been known to do that. Sure paid off for him there, and his mechanics got to be happy now.
So Jeremy McGrath curling around on the final lap. Takes the checkers, and there is a happy young man. He did all he could do here this afternoon. The checkers for Jeremy, his 6th sweep, his 7th overall. Here's the Moto2 results. McGrath, Emig, Albertine, Ward, and Lewis are top 5. David Bradshaw, quietly but effectively doing a nice job here today. Cliff Palmer rounding out the top 10. Let's go to Davey.
All right, Jeremy. You did what you had to do today, a 1-1.
Yeah, you know, got some starts today. I wasn't really nervous. I wasn't concerned. I suppose my foot's good to go. You know, I rode strong in the moto. After Albie started fading back a little bit, I started just kind of cruising out there. And, you know, those guys were catching me at the end, but, you know, Jeff made a crucial pass there at the end, so we're 2 points away. You know, it's only one moto, and we got 2 motos to go, so I'm glad I'm back on pace, for sure.
You control your own destiny, and you're going into your favorite track of the circuit for the final round.
Yeah, Steel City's the best track out there as far as I'm concerned. Binghamton was great today, but I always have good luck at Steel City. And me and 1-800 Collect and Honda and all my teammates, and I'll have my mechanic back. He had a baby this Friday, so congratulations to him. So, you know, we'll be on fire next week.
Man, you rode like a real champ today.
Thanks.
Moto wins number 15 and 16 for Jeremy McGrath as we take a look at the overall results for today's action. Greg Albertine making the podium behind Jeff Emig. Mike LaRocco into the top 5. Jimmy Button rounding out the top 10. Let's go back to Davey now.
Got Albie. That was a very important pass.
Well, I think I had a good line going there all moto, and it was just so super tough to pass, and I just blew both my starts. That's just all there is to it. McGrath just got out front like he had to do, and I feel real fortunate that I'm still ahead in points, considering that I don't think I had that good a day. But it just showed, everybody was all pumped for me, and they're like, you got it in the bag, and all this stuff. And it's not in the bag, until the final moto. And, but I rode as hard as I could today to get the points that I got, and I'm real happy to be here.
All right, next week, the final round, it's a hard-packed track. McGrath says it's his favorite track, but you've done well there, too.
Well, we'll just see whose favorite track it is when we're holding the #1 plate. It's definitely going to come down to that, and, for the fans and the people on TV and everything, this is just going to be as good as it gets. And I've been working real hard, and I don't, I just need to focus on this, and I know that I can win this 250 championship. I think that this weekend was just like a wake-up call for me, like, hey, like I might have taken the points lead, by having some really good luck and some good moto finishes, but it ain't over yet.
Well, I don't think anyone said it any better. Jeff Emig, quote, "It's as good as it gets." The points leader, Jeff Emig, barely. Let's go to Davey.
Greg, did Emig sneak up and surprise you on the last lap?
No, he was catching me hard, but I had to take my goggles off. I got so much sand from the lap riders, I couldn't see where I was going. And then on the last lap, some guy jacked me up again and just made me lose so much time.
Were you worried about getting in between the points bow like that?
No, I don't care. I just want to do as best as I can in every race.
All right. Congratulations on 3rd overall.
Thank you.
Jeremy McGrath, #1, doing what he had to do. Jeff Emig showing great desire to take that #1 plate away from Jeremy.
Well, I'm impressed with both those guys. Really, who would have thought that Jeremy would have beaten up and uncertain, really, of his physical condition, come out and go 1-1 here, back against the wall, and then Emig coming from a